Last year, the Cubs broke one of the longest championship routes in sports history, winning the World Series for the first time since 1908. This ended the Billy Goat Curse that plagued the team for the past 108 season. I'm joined now by our resident curse experts Keeva Schneider, Josh Toback, and Christian Carme to discuss some of the best curses in all of sports. Keeva, let's start with you. What's your curse?
My curse is probably the most prominent curse for anyone our generation, and that is the Madden sports cover curse. It starts back with Madden 99 with Garrison Hearst on the cover, who in his first game after being on the cover not only broke his ankle, but destroyed his ankle, never to play another down of professional football again. After that, it goes to Barry Sanders, who was chosen to be on the cover a month and a half before announcing his retirement. This curse has dragged on pretty much to today, with highlights such as LaDainian Tomlinson rejecting the offer to be on the cover due to the fact that he thought it was.
But my issue is with like cover athletes like Tom Brady, for example, whose kind of like surrounding team got hurt by it, and like players like Odell Beckham who weren't really hurt by it. It's sometimes not just a player; it's a team. Like Calvin Johnson on Madden 13. That one didn't really affect him per se, more the Lions. The Lions ended up going for it.
Well, a lot of people say that Julian Edelman kind of took Tom Brady's curse, like he just sacrificed
Tom
himself.
Tom Brady is the one major kind of exception to this curse, and a lot of people do blame.
I mean, he got his own GOAT edition, so you kind of have to go with the punches there. But like Madden as a whole, I do feel like the whole curse thing is good. Like a good one is Michael Vick.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like the Madden curse kind of is subjective. Like Peyton Hillis is also a great example, but Brett Favre didn't really have a curse with Madden. He just kind of like moved teams. They actually had to change the cover.
The same year he was on the cover, Troy Polamalu was also on a separate edition cover who was injured for the entire season.
Oh, yeah.
So that year the curse did strike.
And Vince Young on Madden 08.
So obviously a lot of examples for the Madden curse. Josh, what's your sports curse?
My curse is the Bobby Lane curse of the Lions. In 1958, Bobby Lane was the star of the Lions. He had won 3 championships that decade for the Lions. He was the star. Then he broke his leg. And then the Lions traded him to the Steelers for some hot prospect quarterback and a couple of draft picks. So he was fuming, and he was like a really big like partier. He was like, I wouldn't say he's like Johnny Manziel partier, but he was pretty out there for the 50s. So he said this team won't win for another 50 years, and they never did. They won one playoff game in 50 years, having quarterback troubles throughout. And the last year of the curse, they went 0-16. And who did they draft with that first pick? Matthew Stafford, who has led that team to be no longer the bottom barrel of the NFL.
Is that a curse or is that just a bad team? That's my question with that. You know, you can look at the Browns. Some say they're cursed. They're just a bad team. 28 quarterbacks since 1999. We had Bill Belichick.
I think that's just bad front office, though. That's just bad front office decisions. The Lions have lost to some very sticky circumstances. Like, look at all their close calls with Green Bay. Look at all their close calls with, like, Atlanta this season. Some say the curse is still going on this year. The Lions in that 0-16 season did lose a few games by, like, a touchdown or a field goal. But overall, the curse is really just kind of just bad luck for the Lions. Like Barry Sanders never made it farther than a divisional round with a pretty good cast of characters on that team too. So overall, I'm not really sure. You can't say it's not a curse.
So obviously the Lions went through a big period there, of irrelevance. Christian, what's your curse in sports?
My curse is the curse of the Bambino for the Boston Red Sox. So it all started back in 1903 when the Red Sox won their first World Series. They won it in 1903. 1905, 1915, 1918, and then all of a sudden, they won that with Cy Young and Babe Ruth. And in 1918, the owner for the Boston Red Sox sold Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees for $125,000, which is arguably the worst trade in the history of sports. And that pretty much is the curse of the Bambino. After that, the Red Sox went to 4 World Series in which they all went to Game 7, and they all lost Game 7, including 1986, in which the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs when they were tied in the 9th inning of Game 7 of the World Series.
But the Red Sox have an extensive history of winning, too. This curse isn't just like they haven't won a game since.
But
have won series
the
before.
last World Series they won before 2004 was in 1918, and it took an exorcism in 2004 for the Red Sox to beat the Yankees, coming back from 0-3, like. Is unbelievable. It's a long time. Granted, it wasn't as long as the Cubs, but the Red Sox curse, it's the curse of Bambino, the original, the OG curse.
Seems a bit more spiritual. But my thing is that a curse or is that a mindset at that point?
Obviously, the curse of the Bambino, one of the more well-known curses in sports. That's all from us here at 101, however. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms. From all of us at the studio, happy Halloween, and whose side are you on?